The golden glow of a Chicago afternoon spilled through the towering windows of the Harrison family's sophisticated living room, casting a warm spotlight on the grand piano that reigned as the room's heart. Michael Harrison, a sharply dressed 39-year-old, leaned against the doorway, coffee in hand, his eyes flicking between his assistant sorting papers in the hall and the elegant space he called home. As the mastermind behind Harrison Technologies, one of the city's most dynamic software empires, Michael had carved out a name for himself in the tech world. But his true north, his unshakable anchor, was his 7-year-old daughter, Emma. Since losing his wife 3 years ago, Michael had been navigating the tightrope of single fatherhood, juggling boardroom battles with bedtime stories, determined to be the dad Emma deserved. Lately, Emma's eyes had lit up at the idea of playing the piano, sparked by a magical school performance. Michael, ever the doting father, had tasked his assistant with securing the best, Margaret Chin, a renowned piano maestro who rarely took beginners but made an exception for the daughter of a major arts foundation donor. What Michael didn't know was that his assistant had fumbled the contact list, dialing the wrong number and reaching Margaret Collins instead, a single mom scraping by, teaching basic piano lessons from her cramped apartment to keep the lights on for her and her son, Tyler. When the doorbell chimed at exactly 4 o'clock, Michael swung open the door, expecting a poised, silver-haired professor. Instead, he was met by a woman in her late 20s, her floral dress peeking out from under a slightly worn blazer, a faded leather music bag slung over her shoulder. She looked equal parts nervous and determined. "Mr. Harrison, I'm Margaret Collins," she said, offering a firm handshake and a bright smile. "Thank you for this incredible opportunity to teach your daughter." Michael's brow furrowed, confusion flickering across his face. "Miss Collins, I'm sorry, there must be a mix-up. I was expecting Margaret Chin from the conservatory." Margaret's face drained of color, her hand dropping as the mistake sank in. "Oh no," she stammered, taking a step back. "Your office called about piano lessons for Emma. I thought it was a referral from one of my students' parents. I'm so sorry, I'll go and let you find the right teacher." Before Michael could respond, a blur of blonde pigtails bounded to his side. Emma's eyes sparkled with that pure, childlike curiosity. "Daddy, is this my piano teacher?" she asked, gazing up at Margaret with instant adoration. Margaret crouched to Emma's level, her embarrassment softening into a warm smile. "Hi, Emma. I'm Maggie. I teach piano, but it looks like your daddy was expecting someone else today." Emma's face fell, her logic cutting through the awkwardness like only a child's can. "But you're here now, Maggie. Can't you teach me, please?" Michael hesitated, caught off guard by Emma's plea and the genuine warmth in Maggie's eyes. This wasn't the polished instructor he'd envisioned, but there was something undeniable about the way Maggie connected with his daughter. "Ms. Collins," he said, surprising himself, "how about a trial lesson? If Emma responds well, we can talk about a regular arrangement." Relief washed over Maggie's face, her voice brimming with gratitude. "Mr. Harrison, I'd be honored. And please, call me Maggie." As Maggie settled beside Emma at the grand piano, Michael lingered in the doorway, intending to slip away to his emails after a quick check-in. But something about the scene held him captive. "Emma," Maggie began, her hands resting lightly on the keys, "before we play a single note, let me tell you why I love the piano. It's not just an instrument, it's a storyteller. Every key has its own voice, and when we weave them together, we can share feelings too big for words." Emma hung on every word as Maggie played a simple, soulful melody, her fingers dancing with a grace that belied her modest circumstances. "That's so pretty," Emma whispered, her eyes wide. "Will I ever play like that?" Maggie's smile was all encouragement. "Absolutely. But first, let's listen to what the keys have to say." Instead of diving into scales or drills, Maggie guided Emma to explore the piano's tones, teaching her to feel the music as a language of the heart, not just a skill to master. Michael, still rooted in the doorway, forgot his inbox entirely. Maggie's approach was nothing like the rigid, classical training he'd expected. She turned learning into an adventure, a celebration of sound and emotion, all while weaving in subtle structure. By the time the hour ended, Emma was practically glowing, wrapping her arms around Maggie's waist and begging her to come back tomorrow. As Emma scampered off to practice her handwriting, Michael walked Maggie to the door. "Miss Collins, I'm impressed," he admitted. "Emma hasn't been this excited about anything since. Well, since we lost her mother." Maggie's eyes softened with a knowing warmth. "Mr. Harrison, I lost my husband 2 years ago in a car accident. I have a 6-year-old son, Tyler, and I know how hard it is to guide a child through grief while carrying your own." The shared loss created an unexpected bridge between them, a connection deeper than Michael had anticipated. "I'm not the fancy instructor you wanted," Maggie continued, her voice steady but honest. "I teach from my tiny apartment, barely making rent some months. But I promise Emma will get my absolute best, no matter what." Michael made a snap decision that felt more right than any boardroom call he'd ever made. "Maggie, I want you as Emma's regular teacher, not because of a mix-up, but because you've shown me in 1 hour what she truly needs." And so, Maggie became a fixture in the Harrison home, arriving 3 times a week with her warm music bag and infectious enthusiasm. Michael started rearranging his schedule to be there for lessons, telling himself it was about Emma's progress. But soon, he couldn't deny the spark in their post-lesson chats, moments that stretched longer each time, filled with stories of Maggie's life, her son Tyler, and her relentless optimism despite a landlord who raised rent faster than she could keep up. One evening, as Maggie packed up after a lesson that had Emma mastering her first full song, Emma tugged at Michael's sleeve. "Daddy, can Maggie and Tyler come for dinner? I want to meet her son. Maybe we could be friends, like you and Maggie are friends." Maggie blushed at Emma's bluntness, but Michael grinned, unfazed. "That's a brilliant idea, Emma. Maggie, would you and Tyler join us for dinner this Saturday? Nothing formal, just a chance for the kids to connect and for us to talk about something other than work or music." That dinner was the first of many, each one knitting their lives closer together. Michael admired Maggie's grit, the way she poured love into Tyler despite their struggles. Maggie saw past Michael's CEO polish to the devoted dad who wrestled with the same fears and hopes she did. Their bond grew not from grand gestures but from quiet moments, shared laughs over pizza, stories of loss and resilience, and the way their kids lit up together. 6 months after that mistaken phone call, Michael made another bold move. Over coffee, he offered Maggie a role at his family's foundation, developing a music therapy program for kids grappling with grief and trauma. The salary would lift her out of financial strain, letting her use her gift for emotional connection through music. "Michael, this is too much," Maggie protested, her eyes wide. "You've already been so generous." Michael shook his head. "This isn't charity, Maggie. You have a rare talent for reaching kids through music. There are hundreds of children in Chicago who need what you've given Emma. This is about building something real, something only you can do." The program became a beacon of hope, serving kids across the city with instructors who shared Maggie's belief in music as healing, not just performance. But beyond the professional triumph, something deeper had taken root. Michael and Maggie had fallen in love, slowly, authentically, built on mutual respect and the seamless way their families fit together. Emma and Tyler were inseparable, 2 kids thriving in a blended family forged not by fairy tale romance but by shared loss and unwavering hope. On the 1-year anniversary of their first meeting, Michael handed Maggie a gift that left them both teary-eyed, the deed to a cozy house in a great school district, a home where she and Tyler could finally feel secure. "Maggie," he said, standing in the empty living room, "a year ago, my assistant's mistake brought you to our door instead of the teacher I thought I wanted. That mix-up changed our lives." Maggie's gaze swept the space, her voice thick with emotion. "Michael, when I showed up here, I was drowning in bills, wondering how I'd feed Tyler. You've given me more than stability, you've given me a partner who sees my worth, even when I arrived by accident." The single dad CEO and the struggling piano teacher had learned a universal truth: The best things in life often come from mistakes, wrapped in packages we never expected. Thank you for joining Midnight Tales for this heartwarming story of love, family, and second chances born from a simple mix-up. If this tale of Michael, Maggie, Emma, and Tyler reminded you that life's greatest gifts can arrive unannounced, hit that like button and share it with someone who believes in the beauty of unexpected connections. Subscribe to Midnight Tales for more stories that celebrate the twists and turns that lead us to the people who change our lives. Drop a comment below, tell us about a time a mistake or misunderstanding led to something amazing in your own life, or when you found a connection with someone you never saw coming. At Midnight Tales, we believe the wrong choice can turn out to be exactly right, and the people who transform our world often show up when we're looking for someone else entirely.